Hey everyone, let's continue our discussion of Not Your Typical Reincarnation Story, episodes 99 and 100. So let's jump right in and see how the story unfolds. A long time ago, in an era so distant that memories had begun to fade, there lived a girl named Rhyse Sinclair. She shone brightly, innocent and beautiful, like the goddess of spring. But as an illegitimate child of a noble family, her childhood was filled with sorrow. Her fate changed when Duke Ludwig and his wife found her. They brought her to the Duke's residence and treated her with love and care. Everyone there welcomed her warmly. However, everything changed when she met her, Edith Riegelhoff. At first, Lisa hesitated when Killian asked her to wear a white dress, but her maid assured her that among nobles, it was common for a bride's sister or close relative to wear the same color. Hearing that, Lise was overjoyed. She thought she would finally have a real sister. But soon, she realized that was nothing more than her own fantasy. Edith was furious that Lise wore white, while Killian openly showed his dislike for Edith. At that moment, Lise started to sense that something was wrong. No matter how hard she tried to fix their relationship, it was all in vain. The problem was that the Ludwig family, the very people who had saved her, always turned cold-hearted whenever it came to Edith. When Cliff bought all the jewelry and left only a tiny necklace for Edith. When the document leak scandal happened. When Lise was poisoned by embroidery thread that Edith had given her. Edith was always blamed and punished. On the night Edith was punished, Lise went to see her. Edith was shocked to hear Lise's words. She had wanted to meet Edith long before she ever came to the Ludwig family. Lise had heard from Damien that Edith, the so-called flower of nobility, had a fate not so different from hers. Since then, Lise endured everything by thinking of Edith. She wanted to become strong and beautiful like her, hoping that if they ever met, they could understand each other, make each other happy, and become true friends. But to Edith, Lise was just a foolish girl who was too naive. Edith had always been hated, and all she knew was how to hate in return. She didn't know how to accept or give love. Then, the kidnapping incident happened, and Edith was sentenced to death. Lise felt so powerless, unable to change anything. The people who loved her were the same ones trying to destroy Edith. Lise didn't want that to happen, but all she could do was pray. She begged the gods to save Edith, even if it meant giving up everything. And then, a notification appeared. Her wish could come true. If this world was freed from the influence of the author. That's why Lise used her own body as a medium to summon the only person who could change this world, the author. The original Edith also witnessed the conversation between Rhyse and Edith. Just like Edith, she believed that if the author could witness and experience this world's suffering firsthand, they would change the story for the better. But in reality, the author was not a merciful figure. And since Lise couldn't communicate with them, the story kept repeating, making Edith suffer even more. Eventually, Lise came up with an idea, to summon another soul and use Edith's body as a medium. Edith's original soul was sent to the same place as Liz. At first, Edith couldn't believe it. She never imagined that Lise, so kind and noble, would go so far as to sacrifice another soul just to save her. Lise encouraged Edith to cross over into another world and start a new life, while she would handle everything from where she was. But summoning another soul wasn't enough. The world had to be completely freed for them to leave. Not once, but 12 times they tried summoning souls, yet very few made it past the second exemption clause. One by one, they failed and ultimately perished. Seeing Lise collapse in tears, Edith felt pity for her, having to bear all of this alone. But even though everything had fallen apart, Rhyse had no regrets. Lise then asked Edith if she still remembered why she had chosen the ruby necklace, the one Edith had rejected for being small and worthless. The reason was simple. The larger gemstones looked too heavy for Edith's fragile neck. That's why Lise picked a smaller, delicate one, so it wouldn't hurt her. Lise promised to free Edith from this world so she could find a new life, to learn how to love and be loved. Finally, on the 13th summoning, everything changed. Rhyse was incredibly grateful for Edith's arrival. Not only did she free this world, but she also embraced people with forgiveness and wisdom. Edith helped them find their own strength in ways Rhyse never imagined. She never looked down on anyone and always offered warmth, even to those from the lowest classes. Edith tried to take Rhyse with her, because it was never Rhyse who should have been punished. But Rhyse refused. She felt she had a debt to repay to this world. And now, she was happier than she had ever hoped to be. Edith realized that Rhyse was truly kind and fair, a protagonist worthy of any story. Like a violet blooming alone, like the goddess of spring overflowing with love. Even in a dark old kitchen, wearing a worn-out nun's robe, she still shined. In the end, Edith left the monastery. She found Killian, who had just arrived. With a bright smile, she ran toward him, only to be immediately embraced by him. This is the true ending of the story. This is how we learn to love in the simplest of ways. There were moments of sadness, moments of joy. But in the end, we all found our own happiness. We are finally free, without the author's interference. True freedom. And with that, the main story of this comic is officially over. I really recommend reading the comic yourself to fully experience the emotions. As for the side stories, there's no update on when they'll be released since the comic is currently on hiatus. Will we get to see Erdin and Lilia, Killian, and Edith's children in the side stories? Let's wait and see.